Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Health authorities confirmed 2 deaths from dengue, and the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment is calling on all Vincentians to play their part to reduce the spread of dengue. The appeal was made as the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment held a news conference today to discuss the current situation with the spread of dengue and efforts being made to control it. For the past few weeks, the ministry said it has been recording a higher than normal infection rate, with the highest areas of infection being Georgetown, Kingstown, and Pembroke. Yesterday, the ministry said it was investigating 4 suspected dengue-related deaths, and at today's news conference, 2 deaths were confirmed. Responding to a question at the press conference, Chief Environmental Health Officer Neri James said there is a project underway to clear areas of stagnant water. He pointed out that it is unwise to wait for the fogging of communities.
Those spots has streams, and where the streams are, there are wave action. As a result of that, the flow has been stopped, and we have observed that yes, they are indeed breeding sites. So we are in the process of having a project to ensure that those streams are being cleared. Okay? But I just want to say to us that health is a shared responsibility. The issue of us waiting patiently for the team to actually fog, it is not the best. So each of us are asked to do each of us part. You can do a simple thing, okay? Inspect where you are living twice per week.
Public Health Supervisor Shamanti Laban said mosquitoes can breed in as little as a teaspoon of water and explained what can be done to reduce the breeding sites.
Important to screen drums and other water containers to prevent the entry of mosquitoes. It's important not to litter, because as much as a teaspoon or a cup of water is enough for mosquitoes to actually breed in. Tires should be stored in an area where water cannot accumulate in them. And persons can come up with innovative ways in which they can use tires. Okay, for example, for planting. And you can also cut the bottom out of the container to prevent water from accumulating as well. Discard all freezers, stove, and refrigerators from around your home. This can also be a potential source for this can also be a source of mosquito breeding. So million fish can also be placed in larger bodies of water, and it's important to make checks around your home around once per week for any mosquito breeding sites. And this can be identified by looking for the immature stages. For example, you can check to see if you see the larva. Most persons will call them wrigglers or worm.
The public health supervisor said items such as repellents, nets and screens can be used to protect against mosquito bites.
All right, so personal protection for mosquitoes includes applying repellent, and it's important that you check the hours of effectiveness for this particular repellent, because each repellent has a different length as it relates to effectiveness. For example, DEET will have up to 6 hours, and there's also citronella and eucalyptus oil, which have a shorter period for about 2 to 3 hours. So it's important to sleep under an insecticide-treated bed net, and it's important to know that the Aedes aegypti mosquito, it's known as a day-biting mosquito. So when sleeping, Under bed nets, they should be utilized during the day. And it's the female mosquito that usually transmit the disease. And it's also important to screen windows and doors to prevent the entry of mosquitoes. And to conclude, I'll just like to remind everyone that at this time, vector control responsibility, it requires the involvement of everyone.
Early intervention is key in order to save lives, so says Chief Medical Officer Dr. Simone Keyser Beach as she spoke at today's news conference held to sensitize the public on the current dengue situation in the country. The CMO said the Ministry of Health is increasing its staff to improve detection and provide a life-saving treatment.
The decrease in the vector, which is a mosquito, which causes dengue. We have an estimate of $210,000 required to pay for that. And we are also going to employ an additional 10 doctors and 6 nurses. Why do we need to employ additional staff? Because we have to do what we call surge capacity. As I mentioned just now, we have had 167 persons turning up at the emergency room at MCMH just for dengue. So this doesn't take into account the regular persons who visit. So we need to be able to treat these persons. A very important part of dengue management, as Dr. Wood described, is the early intervention in moderate cases. That's how you're going to protect and save lives. And so we have to increase our capacity to provide that care. So besides the doctors and nurses, we are also going to extend services at Kingstown District Clinic to 7 p.m. as of today. As we mentioned in our press release yesterday, we would utilize the Argyle Isolation Facility, and we are also increasing beds at the Milton Kate Memorial Hospital to house the additional cases.
The CMO said the ministry is also seeking assistance from PAHO as the country is experiencing high pediatric cases of dengue.
In terms of support, we have also reached out to PAHO in terms of additional support for health promotion, vector control, and also for specialist services. As you've noted, a lot of the reports have been that we have increased numbers of pediatric cases. Our under 15 numbers are around 51%, and we're having challenges in terms of the management of these cases, especially where we have renal impairment in children. So we have asked PAHO to help us with a pediatric nephrologist, and we might also get other support as needs be.
Infectious disease specialist Dr. Josie Davy took the opportunity to urge persons to pay attention to what is happening to their bodies to facilitate early detection of dengue. She listed the 3 stages of the disease and pointed to some of the symptoms associated with the stage of the disease.
This febrile stage, you may have fever. When I say may have fever, everyone experiences an illness differently. There is also what we call a subclinical form of the disease, so not everyone would get high fevers. But usually dengue is characterized by very high fever. Persons may also have joint pains, back pain, headaches, and it's usually the headache that's behind the eye, which we call in medicine retroorbital pain. There may be a reddening of the skin, which we call exanthema. There may be nausea, vomiting, and lots of our folks are having diarrheas as well. And not to mention, there's also joint pain. So these are the primary symptoms that you would have during the febrile stage of the disease.
Dr. Davies said the second stage is also the critical stage where warning signs occur.
Where they may go on to have what we call warning signs. And I need you to pay special attention to the warning signs. There can be severe abdominal pain, which was not previously noted. vomiting to the point where the persons cannot keep food or liquids down. There may be lethargy, where the person is droopy or they're just restless. And there may be bleeding from any and everywhere you can think of, literally any and everywhere. So the person may brush their teeth and find that the gum is bleeding. They may also have extended menses or periods, or they may have nosebleeds, you name it. Wherever someone can bleed from, they may bleed from. Hence the reason why we say dengue is a hemorrhagic disease.
The infectious disease specialist said there is no specific treatment for dengue and warned against the use of Advil and ibuprofen tablets.
Say hydration, we're talking about taking in enough fluids, liquids. I tell my patients to drink water, coconut water, and fruit juices they make. I say that you make because you want to ensure that the source of juice is clean, because you don't want to add gastroenteritis on something that you already have. So you make your own juice, you drink your coconut water because you need the potassium. Dengue has no specific treatment. You would take paracetamol to help with your headaches and your fevers. Do not take ibuprofen or Advil or any of the other NSAIDs because this would increase the chances of you bleeding on the inside. So paracetamol every 6 hours, that would set you straight. If that's not working, your healthcare provider would prescribe something that is good for you and that will keep you safe. So in a nutshell, and I see everyone is still awake, that is the management and treatment of dengue fever.
And persons on the streets of Kingston today said more can be done by health officials and residents to reduce exposure to the Aedes aegypti mosquito that causes dengue fever. There is currently an upsurge of dengue cases in SVG, with several persons having to be admitted to hospital. SVG-TV news team spoke to several persons in Kingston today to get their views about the dengue problem. And there is a view that not enough fogging is being done and that the authorities can do more community visits.
I think they could come around and keep fogs more and help to the people who really need of the environment keep cleaning. I think they need to come around and see that the environment clean and so drain clean and everything.
I don't know what they have in store as like to implement as to stop it. But if there's anything else they couldn't do besides the spraying and them sort, they will be highly appreciated about that. But at the moment, I don't know what they have in store. You understand? But then if they have some other like drugs, whatever it's hard to get rid of it. You understand? Any method I should say to get rid of it, we'll highly appreciate it.
The longest while, about 2 weeks back, they came up the Lowman's Hill, and the top Lowman. They come up in the area.
And the fog?
Yeah, fogs out the place. They only come once in a while. They need to come more often.
So far, so good. Yes, I see they do some, smoking out and so far, so good.
No, well, they're not doing enough. They need to do much more.
The mosquito on them, they have a lot of mosquito in the market and we need to get them sprayed out. We'll be very happy for you all to get the mosquito sprayed because the guy came sometime and spray outside, he didn't come inside to spray inside. So we need help inside of here.
Some of the persons also highlighted ways in which they should protect themselves and others from developing dengue fever.
I normally will get rid of like any water in any buckets on them sort day. At night, well, even before the dengue gets so rampant, I would get a mosquito fish or get a bacon on them sort and spray the house, so then at least it will at least stop some of the mosquito running about, even to the neighbor and them sort.
From the spreading of dengue,
well, for my home, I keep spraying, and all my containers empty without water. I don't have any water and no drain around to breed the mosquitoes. So I'm quite safe for now.
I go back to the old-time remedy. Old-time remedy like the bush, you know. Rub the skin with the lard, the Vicks and the saffron and then rub them down. And it has some bushy tree bush, the papaya leaf, all those. You can wrap them around them and the heat from the body will suck. The bush will suck out the fever. Go back to the old-time remedy. It's good. Clean up the yard. Clean up here, keep your yard clean. If you have any container with water, you know, you throw them away, or you can cover them over with drum with water using. The spread of dengue.
Well, I throw away all the germs for no mosquito, and make sure your house clean out, and around the house side now. Surround them.
Do nothing to protect ourselves. We're working inside the environment with the mosquito on them, so we have to be with it.
Scores of residents here have contracted dengue fever, and for Agnes Gibson, a staff member of SVG Broadcasting Corporation, the experience was quite a scare. Gibson attended 2 private doctors and was eventually admitted to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital after several tests were done, including one for dengue fever, where her urine was found to have contained blood. Her symptoms began at work with a fever followed by aches and pains, even as she took the recommended pills, and this continued for several days, causing her to become weak.
Body aches, the fever was still there, weakness, joint pains, and my eyes the back of my eyes started to hurt me. So I decided this was not a good feeling again, because the fever is still coming and going, and I'm weak by then. He took a urine sample and he said to me that my platelets had dropped to 17. So from 150 to 17 in 2 days, that was not good. So they asked for the urine sample, which now showed that I had blood in my urine. Apparently, with dengue fever, you start bleeding out if your platelets drop really low. So he said that he would have to send me to the hospital, because there I will need to go and get attention, because this is just a clinic, you know. So I left. He wrote up my papers and everything, and he sent me to the hospital.
Gibson said she eventually improved while at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, but is not back to full strength.
So during that day, I was on the steroids as well as drips right through at the hospital for the Thursday all day, and drinking lots of fluid. I wasn't really eating because there were no appetite to eat. So it's mostly fluids you're drinking as well as you're on the drips and so on. So on the Thursday evening, my platelets actually went up to 41, back from the previous reading of 17 at the private hospital. It went up to 41. So it actually went up because of the bleeding in the urine, the blood in the urine. They had said to me that if my platelets don't climb, I would have to do a blood transfusion. So, but thank God, it actually climbed up to 41.
Gibson, who has resumed work, said she is grateful to have overcome the disease and has since become more aware of her surroundings and the need to get rid of mosquitoes.
Got home, I made sure that I spray out the house. I mean, it's not that like I'm sure if it's at home, I've got it, but I make sure I spray out the house. I have bug mats, I have all sorts of citronella, you know, everything, just trying to prevent from getting bite again. I don't want that experience again. It's not a nice one. The mere fact knowing that your plate dropped so low, and knowing that you can bleed out just by simple brushing your teeth and you bruise your gum. Because one of the things they said, you can't brush your teeth too hard because you can't bruise your gum, because you can bleed out. You can just bleed out. Simple thing as that. It was frightening knowing that that can happen to you at 17, at platelet 17. So it was really frightening.
She is advising persons to stay alert for symptoms, to act on the advice given by the health authorities, and keep hydrated. And the NDP candidate for East Kingstown, Dwight Fitzgerald Bramble, says the ULP and Minister of Health, Luke Brown, are sleeping on the job and failing to protect Vincentians from dengue and other diseases. Speaking on the NDP's Monday Night Live program, Bramble expressed condolences to the families of the persons who are suspected to have died from dengue.
You know, it's really a sad situation. No parent should have to go through that. Yeah. And you know, the reality is that the ULP and my opponent, the Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, they're really sleeping on the job. Again, this is another classic example of this guy, the Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, sleeping on the job. It was clearly demonstrated during COVID, and now with dengue, you know, it's really terrible. Since January, we have had 306 dengue cases, and it's been reported that since July, the number of cases have doubled.
Bramble said he understands that parents of children experiencing symptoms of dengue fever have to pay in order to get the test done, and this should not happen because the country is faced with a lot of unemployment.
To understand that parents and persons with the symptoms, parents of children and persons experiencing the symptoms have to pay to get the test. How you expect people to pay for a simple dengue test when you have, right now, I would say at least in the mid-30s, 36, 37% unemployment in the country, because since COVID, the unemployment rate has increased significantly, you know. So this is shameful. It is shameful. Where is the Minister of Health with this really critical issue regarding dengue? Where is he? We have not even heard. Have you heard any comment, any
nothing from the Minister of
press
Health,
conference?
nothing from the Chief Medical Officer as well. As like they have gone silent so far, especially on this latest issue.
Bramble said the health minister should step down.
Incompetence, and it shows that he doesn't care. Plain and simple. I mean, I would like to look at the Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment and ask him, if one of these young persons, one of these suspected deaths due to dengue, if one of those children was his child, how would you feel? What would you do? What would you say? The Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, I'd like you to answer that question for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's shameful. I mean, yeah, we're into the political season, we campaigning, you know, we're trying to win a seat, but you're talking about people's lives. You don't play politics with people's lives. And if you're incompetent and you're sleeping, then you should just vacate the position, resign.
Justices of the peace are crucial in request by persons for a change of residence or transfer ahead of general elections. And officials of the Electoral Office have called on all JPs to do a thorough job as they address a range of electoral matters on NBC Radio's Morning Cup program today. Supervisor of Elections Dora James said that the JP must know the person who is making the request for a change of residence.
That the JP is at the center of the transfer. The JP must know you. The JP must sign off. And we repeat what the JP must say. The form will be filled by the registration officer, and that is a Form 8. It is headed change of residence. And that form is given to the applicant to take to that JP, who will confirm that they know the person for how many years, and also confirm that they know the person living in that constituency. Now, there are those who say that I don't know any JP, but we said it last week. Then you have neighbors, you have other persons who can confirm, and they are the ones who are going to assist with the JP in his search or her search, because they need to verify. It doesn't say if the form came to me today that I can give it back to you. So you might have some time, the JP might have some time to assess, to find out, to verify that this person truly lives, because they might be living in one area in the constituency and you might be from another area.
A Deputy Supervisor of Elections, Sylvester King, who also spoke on the issue, pointed out that the JPs must be thorough and should not rush the process.
Supervisors are correct. We cannot underscore the value of the JP validating, certifying that that person actually lived there. And you're so correct, because the JP will not know everybody. And not everybody will know all of the JPs. And so there is nothing, and I want the JPs to hear this, there is nothing that says you have to sign the form immediately. You know, so that you're in any haste. Because the system is so well set that registration is done twice per week in that same location. And in the constituencies done every week. So the process must not be rushed, so that after you have rushed it through, you realize you've made an error. No, justices of the peace, we expect you to do a very thorough job, and we have confidence in you. So because we have confidence in you, we expect that when you sign a form, and that form comes to us, it should be credible.
Responding to a question in relation to justices of the peace refusing to sign the transfer document, King, who also serves as a JP, said there are several JPs within each constituency.
As a matter of principle, I do not sign any form whatsoever unless I know the person. I have good knowledge. And so if a JP is unwilling to sign a form, we don't want to criticize the JP. We have to understand the circumstances. We don't know what the circumstances are. Because one could assume, the assumption can be drawn that that person knows, the JP knows that person, and that might not be the case.
Okay.
So we do not want to make any assumption, but there are several JPs within each constituency, and so if one isn't able, find another one.
A veteran broadcaster, Evans Bernard John, who passed away on August 19th, was laid to rest yesterday. John served at the National Broadcasting Corporation, NBC, in several roles, including as general manager. He then served as a consular general at the Consulate of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines in Toronto, Canada, from 2002 to 2006, and senior communication officer at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from 2007 to 2010. John was a well-loved broadcaster, and members of the public paid tribute as they highlighted some of his contributions to SVG and his funeral service yesterday.
Lion Eby helped to shape the movement through his dedication to our motto, "We serve." From hosting the annual secondary school public speaking competition to playing Santa at our annual school's children Christmas parties, he was always willing to do whatever he's called upon.
Eby was the epitome of a good man.
The board of directors, management and staff of the National Broadcasting Corporation were all deeply saddened to learn of the passing of former general manager and colleague Evans Bernard John. Eby, we join with colleagues around the country, region and the world in paying tribute to this remarkable Evesham man, Vincicum Canadian.
John had a long, distinguished, remarkable career as a member of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Cadet Force, which spanned some 30 years. He was among an elite group of officers who completed officers' training in Canada. And also among that elite group would have been Major the Honorable Sinclair Leacock, just arriving, and certainly Major Maxman, I saw him.
We must apologize for the poor audio quality. In other news, young people in SVG have been encouraged not to bury their talent, but seek out opportunities to develop their skills. This encouragement has come from curator of the newly opened Development Center of the Arts, Sharika says, as she spoke with the Agency for Public Information on the benefits the center can bring to the general public. The center, which is located close to the Botanical Gardens, was opened last Friday and welcomed the public at the weekend. Said the center allows for talented persons here to display their art pieces, including paintings, drawings, sculptures, and photograph. She said the center will provide opportunities for such persons to hone their skills.
We have a space where we can call home for artists here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, craft makers, a space where we can develop art if you're a young child or if you're an older person who's interested in learning more about art. Here at the center, Development Center, you can come and sign up for workshops or classes and learn something new rather than, every day sitting down home. You can get into painting, you can get into drawing, photography, filmmaking, animation, you name it. Anything within the visual arts field, right here is a space to be.
Says use the opportunity to encourage the public to lend support to the arts.
Non-artistic persons as well, you can come, have a look, admire the artwork. We always say that artwork brings peace sometimes. You can sit down, meditate, bring calm to your home, support local artists, probably purchase a piece, and if you cannot commit to a piece, purchasing a piece, we also have prints available. So everyone is involved, everyone is invited to come and get involved. The last 2 days have been quite well. We were hoping that we will get more of an attendance, but we're satisfied. People are coming in, people are interested, surprised to see the talent that we have here in St. Vincent. So it's good to know that the word is being spread and everyone is now getting into visual arts, fine arts, and seeing what's really in store.
The police today issued a wanted person bulletin for a Stubbs, Victoria Village man who is wanted as part of a criminal investigation. The police said that Vincentian mechanic Noel McDonald, aka Woods, and Bino is a person of interest in their investigations into a series of reports of deception. McDowell is described as brown in complexion, 5 feet 6 inches tall, and of slim build. He has a long face, wrong chin, thick lips, a small nose, and short brown negroid hair. Persons who see McDonald or know of his whereabouts are asked to contact the police.